Buckle up, folks, because the television world just got rocked like never before. Picture this: when America's most trusted news anchors, a titan of journalism, decides he's done playing nice with polished PR spin and carefully curated stories. What happens when decades of diplomatic reporting give way to raw, no-holds-barred questioning that leaves a duchess stunned, speechless, and scrambling for answers on live TV you're about to dive into? A jaw-dropping showdown that wasn't just an interview, it was a masterclass in journalistic courage that had millions of viewers glued to their screens, hearts pounding and jaws on the floor. If you thought you'd seen explosive TV before, trust me, you ain't seen nothing yet. So grab a seat, hit that subscribe button, and let me know in the comments what you think about this wild ride we're about to take, because this is one for the history books. It was a crisp morning in the gleaming Good Morning America studio, where the soft glow of morning light streamed through towering windows, casting a deceptively serene backdrop. The cameras were rolling, capturing every moment for millions of viewers tuning in from their living rooms. George Stephanopoulos, a name synonymous with journalistic excellence, sat poised across from Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, for what was billed as a routine promotional appearance. The setup was picture-perfect, sleek furniture, a polished host, and a global icon ready to share her story, but the air crackled within. Unspoken tension, a hint that this wasn't going to be the fluffy feel-good chat everyone expected. George had his notes neatly stacked, his questions meticulously prepared, but something in his steely gaze suggested he was about to veer off script in a way that would leave the world talking. "Meghan, thank you for joining us this morning," George began, his voice smooth yet commanding, carrying the weight of a man whose grill presence and powerhouses. "I want to dive right into something our viewers are buzzing about. You've been vocal about your experiences, your struggles, what you've called your truth. But let me ask you this: when you reflect on some of the bold claims you made, especially about certain royal family members, do you ever wonder if your perspective might have been, let's say, clouded by the emotions you were feeling at the time?" The question landed like a thunderbolt. Meghan's carefully rehearsed smile flickered just for a moment, her flawless makeup doing little to mask the surprise that flashed across her face. This wasn't the gentle warm-up question she'd anticipated. The studio, buzzing with the usual hum of morning show, seemed to hold its breath. "I'm sorry, George, but I'm not sure what you're getting at," she replied, her tone measured but tinged with unease. "My truth is my truth. I've been very deliberate in speaking only about my lived experiences." George leaned forward slightly, his pen tapping rhythmically against his notepad, each tap like a metronome counting down to something bigger. "Your lived experiences, absolutely," he said, his voice calm but piercing. "But experiences can be subjective, can't they? We've all been in moments where our emotions, stress, anxiety, frustration shape how we recall events. I'm curious if you've ever considered that possibility when it comes to the serious allegations you've leveled." The silence that followed was deafening. Meghan's posture stiffened, her hands clasping tightly in her lap, betraying a flicker of tension. "George, the first thing, what you're doing here is exactly the kind of gaslighting I face within the royal institution." She said, her voice steady, but with defensive edge. "You're suggesting that my memories of racism, of being silenced, of having my mental health concerns dismissed, are somehow just a product of my emotions rather than real events that happened to me." George didn't flinch. His expression remained composed, but there was a fire in his eyes that hadn't been there moments before. "I'm not gaslighting anyone, Meghan," he replied, his tone firm but controlled. "Him asking the questions responsible journalism demands. You made grave accusations that have had real consequences for real people. The public deserves to understand the foundation of those claims. So let me be direct. When you spoke about concerns being raised about Archie's skin color, you never named the person who allegedly made those comments. You let speculation run rampant, allowing an entire family to be painted with the brush of racism while keeping your hands clean with plausible deniability. How is that fair?" The studio felt like it had been sucked into a vacuum. Camera operators leaned in their lenses, capturing every micro-expression. Meghan's eyes flashed with a mix of shock and indignation, her composure cracking in a way viewers had rarely witnessed. "Excuse me," she said, her voice rising slightly. "Are you seriously suggesting I should have named someone and potentially ruined their life over a private conversation? I was trying to be protective, to handle this with some dignity." "Protective of whom exactly?" George shot back, his journalistic instincts now in full gear. "Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you were protecting your own narrative while being remarkably protective of the institution you married into, the family you joined, and the country that embraced you. You Can't make allegations that explosive and then hide behind being protected when people demand accountability. The tension was electric, the kind of moment that makes live television unforgettable. The usually bustling background of the morning show ground to a halt as staff members realized they were witnessing history unfold. Meghan's media training kicked into overdrive. As she tried to regain control, George, you're Ms. Hara Terry Zing. What happened, she said, her voice tight. I was asked a direct question in that interview, and I answered honestly. I didn't set out to hurt anyone, but I wasn't going to lie about my experiences just to shield an institution that failed to protect me. George's laugh was short, sharp, and devoid of humor. Failed to protect you, he repeated, his tone incredulous. Meghan, you were given a global platform, a title, resources, staff, security, an extraordinary level of privilege. You were welcomed into one of the most exclusive roles on the planet. And when things didn't go exactly as you hoped, when you realized royal life came with rules and expectations that apply to everyone, not just you, your response was to tear it all down on international television. Did they fail to protect you, or did you reject the structure that came with the role? Meghan's face flushed, her hands fidgeting with her bracelet as she searched for a response. You're oversimplifying something incredibly complex. She said, her voice rising with frustration. You have no idea what it was like to be inside that system, to have every aspect of your life controlled, to be told you can't defend yourself against lies printed about you daily, to have your own family, your husband's family, refuse to correct false narratives that were destroying your reputation. George G. set his pen down and looked directly into the camera before turning back to her. Let's talk about those false narratives, shall we? Because I've done my homework, and I think our viewers deserve the facts. You claimed you had no idea what royal life would entail, that you weren't prepared, that no one helped you navigate the protocols, but you dated Harry for 2 years. Before your engagement, you had access to the internet, books, decades of documentation about royal life. Are you really asking us to believe you? Like, comment, share, subscribe.